the SNC World Headquarters in New York, I'm Bianco, and here are the stories we're following at this hour. Millions of people along a stretch of more than 300 miles of coastline in Florida are under evacuation orders, and authorities have issued dire warnings ahead of Hurricane Milton's arrival.
We've never had one like this because I've been here for 38 years and never had one that forced us to do this. Never being able to find fuel. This is the only place that has fuel. We boarded up the windows with metal sheeting. We've cleaned everything up, tried to have some tree limbs and stuff trimmed previous, but really just a matter of getting family together in one spot.
At least 11 Florida counties with about 6 million people are under mandatory evacuation orders. More than 50 counties in Florida are under states of emergency.
If you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Hospitals and other healthcare facilities on Florida's Gulf Coast are bracing for Milton, which is shaping up to be one of the most powerful storms in years to hit the region.
You need to prepare for catastrophic impacts. This is going to be a serious storm, one that could forever change communities that are still recovering from Helene. What we see from these storms is that the majority of the fatalities come from the storm surge, come from the water.
President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu have held their first call in weeks. Greg Clugston reports.
The conversation between the two leaders came as Israel expands its ground incursion into Lebanon and considers how to respond to Iran's recent ballistic missile attack. The White House says Vice President Harris also joined the call. President Biden supports Israel's right to defense, but also has been working to secure a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's office confirmed that the prime minister had recently spoken with former President Trump.
The FBI has arrested an Afghan man who officials say was inspired by the Islamic State militant organization and was plotting an election day attack targeting large crowds in the U.S. The Justice Department says 27-year-old Nasir Ahmed Tawedi of Oklahoma City had taken steps in recent weeks to advance his attack plans, including ordering AK-47 rifles, liquidating his family's assets, and buying one-way tickets for his wife and child to travel home to Afghanistan. As inflation moderates, Social Security recipients are expected to receive a smaller cost of living increase in January than in recent years. The Social Security Administration will announce the increase tomorrow. In advance, analysts are forecasting a 2.5% increase for 2025. The announcement comes as the National Social Insurance Plan faces a severe financial shortfall in the coming years. In May, the annual Social Security and Medicare Trustees report showed that the program's trust fund will be unable to pay full benefits beginning in 2035. If the trust fund is depleted, the government will only be able to pay 83% of scheduled benefits. Melinda French Gates will grant $250 million to support women's health around the world through an open call for nonprofits to apply for funding. The pledge signals a new chapter in her individual philanthropic giving since departing the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation earlier this year, and is part of a 2-year, $1 billion commitment that she made in May to support women and families around the world. Honda is recalling 1.7 million cars and SUVs in the United States over an issue that can make steering more difficult and increase the risk of a crash. The recall includes various 2022 through 2025 model vehicles. Now let's check out today's closing bell numbers. One of the sons of former al-Qaeda leader Osama Bin Laden has been banned from returning to France. The French government says Omar bin Laden glorified terrorism on social media, which he denies. Ross Cullen brings us up to speed.
Well, France's new Interior Minister, Bruno Retailleau, is firmly right-wing, and he has pledged to clean up what he describes as France's migratory mess. He's also now banned Omar bin Laden from ever coming back to France. Bin Laden had been ordered to leave France temporarily in 2023, and this decision means he will never be able to come back to the country. Now, Osama bin Laden, the former al-Qaeda leader, is believed to have more than 20 children, and Omar bin Laden, one of his sons, has been living for many years in the north of France, where he has been a painter. And the man, described as his artistic agent, says this decision is crazy and inconceivable.
Defense chiefs from the U.S. and Japan are promising to deepen ties between the two countries. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin held phone conversations with his new counterpart, Jen Nakatani, who has recently taken up the position in Japan. Chris Gilbert has more from Tokyo.
In their first ever phone talk, the two defense chiefs agreed to boost the alliance between Tokyo and Washington to counter apparent Chinese assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific. Gen Nakatani is Japan's new defense minister, and he says the two countries are united in opposing any change to the status quo by unilateral force, and that is a line that Tokyo often uses in reference to China. He's only been in the job for a week after Shigeru Ishiba became Prime Minister of Japan in late September and made a new cabinet. Now, Ishiba is pro-military, and Japan says, and its administration says, that it is looking to boost the cooperation between its self-defense forces and U.S. troops stationed here in Japan.
Brazil's Supreme Court has ruled that X can resume operations in the country, ending a 5-week suspension over concerns about the content on the social media platform. Ira Spitzer reports.
The months-long battle between Brazil's Supreme Court and Elon Musk has ended, with X agreeing to take down accounts which the court had said were spreading hate speech or had deemed a threat to the country's democracy. Musk had refused to comply with the demands previously, calling them a dangerous example of governments controlling speech. However, as Brazilians began to migrate to rival platforms, the billionaire owner appeared to reconsider his stance. In a statement, X said that giving tens of millions of Brazilians access to the platform, which it called indispensable, was paramount.
Prepare to spot a rare, bright comet. The space rock is slinging toward Earth from the outer reaches of the solar system and will make its closest pass on Saturday. It should be visible through the end of October. Comets are frozen leftovers from the solar system's formation billions of years ago. They heat up as they swing toward the sun, releasing their streaming tails. And that's what you need to know at this hour. In New York, I'm Bianco, Salem News Channel.